Tragedy in Stillwater.
I need a bunch of help. We got a car in the crowd up here.
Celebration turns chaotic, then somber, when a car crashes into a crowd at Oklahoma State University's homecoming parade.
People went running over and they were pushing the car on its side and getting the people out from underneath the car that were trapped.
Standing there, honestly, I felt like I could throw up.
The driver now behind bars.
The driver of the car was arrested at this point for driving under the influence.
As the OSU campus and community cling to each other for support.
The Cowboy family pulls together. Unfortunately, we've had to do it before, and we're going to do it again.
Good evening, I'm Chelsea Washington. Fox 25 has learned that a 2-year-old boy and a UCO student were among the 4 people who died in that crash in Stillwater. Dozens more were hurt when a car plowed into a crowd of people at Oklahoma State's homecoming parade this morning. Tonight, Stillwater Strong is trending on social media. We have complete team coverage for you. Fox 25 crews are live in Stillwater and Oklahoma City, beginning with Fox 25's Keaton Fox, who is live in Stillwater at the scene near Hall of Fame and Main. Good evening, Keaton.
Chelsea, you know, Saturdays and Sundays are normally days that I sit at the desk with you. As an Oklahoman, it's important that we gather around today, we hug our families a little closer after the tragedy that happened just behind me, just at this intersection here. And just within the last few minutes, this memorial, I want to show you the video of it, popped up with candles, with a teddy bear to celebrate the very young lives that were lost here today on a day that should have been full of celebration. It's homecoming here at Oklahoma State. And instead, tonight, we are saddened by this news that we're hearing here at Oklahoma State and in Stillwater. A little earlier too, near the campus, just across from the library, a small prayer circle, a prayer vigil being held here. You mentioned that Stillwater Strong is trending on Twitter, and I've also seen prayers for Stillwater trending as well, and certainly a lot of prayers from not around here just in Stillwater, but also across Oklahoma and across the nation tonight. All of this unfolding about 10:30. I want to take you back to the beginning and run through step by step what happened in Stillwater this morning.
I need a bunch of help. We got a car in the crowd up here.
As floats came around the corner at Hall of Fame and Main in Stillwater, utter chaos. This car hit an unmanned police motorcycle before plowing into the crowd and stopping on this light pole. 4 are dead, dozens more injured. This woman, 25-year-old Adacia Chambers, arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence.
We are heartbroken at this tragedy.
Stillwater's mayor and OSU president Burns Hargis say today is about safe family fun. It's now changed forever.
The Oklahoma State homecoming parade is probably one of the most wholesome, happy events in the country. And to have it fouled like this and these victims, this terrible tragedy.
And unfortunately for the Cowboy Nation, tragedy hasn't been far away. From the plane crash of 2001, then 2011, the heartbreak hasn't been hard to hide.
The families I know and these victims will never be able to understand this, nor will we. But the Cowboy family pulls together. Unfortunately, we've had to do it before, and we're going to do it again.
OSU's president there, Burns Hargis, talking about the fact that they've had to do this again, and we've mentioned that plane crash. The fact this is the 3rd major tragedy this university has had to endure in the last 15 years is almost unspeakable. And as a Sooner here tonight, and OU alum, we're all Pokes tonight. We're all cheering for you a little bit harder tonight, Stillwater. That's the latest here, and then what's happened. We're going to have more from Stillwater coming up in just a little bit, but for now, we'll send things back inside to you, Chelsea.
Thanks so much, Keaton. And just into the newsroom in the last few hours, University of Central Oklahoma released the identity of one of the 4 who died. Stillwater officials say the rest of the victims' names will be released early tomorrow morning. Nikita Nakal from India was a MBA student from UCO. This is a photo from her Facebook page. It was confirmed by the university that she was among the 3 adults that died at the scene. UCO officials say their thoughts and prayers are with her family. Just within the last couple hours, Stillwater police told us 44 people were injured in the crash. 8 patients, including 5 children, were flown by helicopter to OU Medical Center in Oklahoma City. That's where a toddler died from his injuries hours after the crash. Fox 25's Tom George continues our team coverage live at OU Med. Good evening, Tom.
Well, good evening, Chelsea. A very sad situation tonight here at OU Medical as we learned that one of those victims that was flown here, a 2-year-old boy, died here while being treated for his injuries. Now, if you take a quick look behind me, this trauma center, that's where those choppers flew in this morning from Stillwater, bringing 8 of the victims from that crash, 5 adults, 3 children, all with some serious injuries. We were told from the hospital some were in good condition, others were in more critical condition. And sadly, around 6 o'clock this evening, we were told that one of the children that was being treated across the street at the Children's Hospital passed away, a 2-year-old boy. So as of right now, of those original 8, we're still left with 7 tonight being treated, 4 children and 3 adults, some here at the ER, others across the street at the Children's Hospital. And just to give you an idea of some of the injuries that we're dealing with, I want you to take a look at this Facebook picture real quick. This is 7-year-old Madison Atwell. She's from Skiatook, Oklahoma. This was supposed to be her first OSU Cowboys game, but instead it was her first ride in a chopper, as she was one of the victims of this crash. Her mom posted on Facebook that she's dealing with some very serious injuries right now, 5 broken ribs, a bruised lung, and as well as some internal bleeding and some other medical issues that the doctors are treating her for right now. So again, we're dealing with some very serious issues. This, of course, level 1 trauma center reserved for the worst of the worst kinds of injuries. And again, just to wrap up for you, a 2-year-old child passed away earlier today, and we're still tonight having 7 victims of this crash being treated here. Keaton?
Tom, thanks very much. And Meredith Keller, excuse me, here. It's tough to listen to that. It's tough to listen to these stories of
It is, and I know, and
children.
this is your home, so this hits hard for you. And we have both spent all day talking to eyewitnesses who are obviously shocked just as much as we are about this truly tragic event. Homecoming, a day that's supposed to be anything but tragic. Carrie Warner and her 3 young daughters picked today to partake in the OSU Homecoming Parade for the first time.
We were across the street watching the end of the parade coming, and all of a sudden we're watching a car plowing down people in front of us across the street. And people screaming stop, and it just seemed like it was never going to end.
Warner says it took the crowd only seconds to jump into action and save the dozens injured right before her eyes.
The whole group of people went running over, and they were pushing the car on its side and getting the people out from underneath the car that were trapped. And the National Guard had gone through on a few floats before, so they were right there.
Casey Oldenburg took a break to warm up inside the Hastings right on the corner of the crash. She says the screams drew her back outside.
And we did see people screaming and running. It was complete chaos.
And Keaton, you might have heard this too. I asked a lot of OSU fans if they were happy that the game was going to go forward, and they all said yes, it was a happier ending to a terrible day.
Such a tough call. We heard from OSU President Burns Hargis earlier in the day saying they had a very serious conversation about that, about whether or not it was appropriate to continue, and most people said, yeah, we are OSU strong. We're going to continue.
Right.
Meredith, thanks so much. Our team coverage continues also. Our team has been out here all day, including Maria Garcia, who is standing by right now on the other side of town. She's been checking with area hospitals. Maria, what have you learned so far?
Well, Keaton, just about 30 minutes ago, I got off the phone with staff here at the Stillwater Medical Center, and they tell me that of the 43 people they saw here today, because of that crash, 3 of them were admitted and are still receiving care at this hospital. Now, as you said, I was here most of the afternoon talking with victims, and one of them shared a very haunting story with me of him and his family standing just feet away, about 10 feet away, as that car came barreling through the crowd.
Main Street LifeNet Control. You could page out a disaster page. Page out disaster page for this.
Oklahoma State fans were expecting a very different kind of day. Instead of cheering their team to victory, some 40 people were treated here at the Stillwater Medical Center. People like Ted Moody's wife.
My wife was knocked down by several people moving out of the way.
Moody and his family were standing along the parade route just feet from the crash. What he saw was terrifying.
They were people laying around. My wife got down on the ground and held the head of a young man who was hurt real bad.
Moody says there was little warning, a loud sound from the car hitting a police motorcycle, and then screams.
And my son, when he looked in the car and It was a woman, middle 20s, looked like she was passed out.
Police say that woman is Adacia Chambers. Here's what we know about her. She is 25 years old, is from Oologah, but is living in Stillwater. Police arrested her on suspicion of DUI. A witness snapped this picture of Chambers being walked off in handcuffs. Back at the hospital, staff tells Fox 25 a rush of 40 people in need of care is uncommon for them. Victims from 2 to 67 years old.
It just was a very tough day and a sad day. Our heart goes out to them.
Triage, 8 red, 7 yellow, 7 green, 2 black. 7 yellow, 7 green, 2 black.
And Moody says he will never forget both the terror and humanity he saw at the intersection of Hall of Fame and Main.
People rushed over to be sure there was no one under the car. Even some men picked up the car and looked under it.
Really very chilling to hear everybody's stories, very heart-wrenching. And I know we've been throwing a lot of numbers at you right now. The total number of victims stands at 44. We have to remember that all of those are people and their lives changed forever today. Of course, we will continue to learn more of those 4 people who have died as their names are released tomorrow morning. For now, I send it back to Keaton Fox.
All right, Maria, thank you. And that is the important thing that we want to remember tonight, the very, very precious lives, and not only those who lost their lives here just behind me, but also those who are still alive. Hug those that you love a little closer tonight. Stillwater Police want you to know 2 things tonight. First of all, they're going to have a clearinghouse of information. They want your pictures and videos from the scene. If you have any information, be sure to send it to them so that they can create this case and put this case together. Also, they're letting us know that the names of those who were involved should be released by about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning sometime. That's the very latest here from Stillwater. For now, we'll send things back to Oklahoma City and Chelsea.
Thank you so much, Keaton, and to our entire team out there tonight. Great work. We also want to pass along an important phone number. Anyone looking for loved ones can call Stillwater Police at 405-372-4171. Police are also asking for witnesses or anyone who may have video of the crash to call them at that same number. Governor Mary Fallin walked around the crash site tonight. The governor was already planning to be in Stillwater for the OSU-KU game and took time to meet with OSU leaders, members of the athletic staff, and people on campus, expressing her sympathy for the victims and their families and sharing what she learned about the crash.
I have talked to one person who was on the scene when it happened and witnessed it happened, and I actually went over to the lady who got out of the car and was holding her down until the police could come and arrest her, but she was obviously impaired and out of control.
The governor, who attended OSU, also praised the strong, compassionate spirit on campus. And T. Boone Pickens tweeted out this message tonight. Sad day for OK State. Hearts are heavy. The Cowboy family will pull ever closer, sadly again. The crash happening not far from the stadium that bears his name. Before the Pokes took to the field this afternoon against the University of Kansas Jayhawks, the stadium paused for a moment of silence to remember those who died in the crash and hope for quick healing to the injured. OSU went on to claim a victory on the field. It's a win that the Oklahoma State family really needed in the wake of today's tragedy. Fox 25's Sam Gannon is live on campus with more from the team. Good evening, Sam.
Good evening, Chelsea. Well, I'll tell you what, it's difficult for all of us to process the tragedy that took place earlier today. And from a sports standpoint, if you're the Oklahoma State Cowboys football team, you were in game mode earlier today preparing for Kansas. All of a sudden, you get wind of this terrifying news. Then you're expected to take this field behind me, play a football game, and perform. Not only perform, but come out and win. OSU President Burns Hargis did decide to go along with this homecoming matchup. The Cowboys finding a way to persevere, handily defeating Kansas 58-10. But I'll tell you what, football was the furthest thing from anyone's mind.
There are no words that can even express a situation like this. You're talking defense, you're talking offense, you're talking special teams. From our standpoint, we need to play well, we need to continue to improve, we need to get better, we need to win the football game. But when you hear of an incident like that, football's a non-factor. Start calling and finding out where your family is and your kids and other people, and you just hope that it's not as bad as what people think.
When tragedy like this happens, how hard is it to keep your focus solely on the game on a day where so many people were affected?
Sometimes, it's hard to keep focus because a tragedy like that. But Coach Gundy just came and talked to us. We still have to go out there. We have a game to play. Play for those guys. Just play for those victims that happened to.
Looking in the guys' eyes in the huddle today as we were coming together, it was. I think you could really see, I know I personally could see in guys' eyes, they want to get this done today and show, maybe give those people today that, had a complete shock, give them something to maybe brighten up their day, just to show that we come out today and we're doing this for more than just us, more than just our team. It's for everybody in this town, the community, the state.
What do you take away from a day like today?
I just take away and say, you got to live every day, like it's your last. I mean, you never know, when's freak things going to happen. If this is your last day, make sure that you're going to, take advantage of everything and treat people with respect and how you want to be treated and as far as all take care of, spiritually.
Some heartfelt words there from the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And I tell you what, Chelsea, I've always felt that sports is one of the last platforms we have as a society that unites people in a time of celebration, unites people in a time of mourning. And what you saw from the Oklahoma State football team earlier today was a group of young men uniting, coming together to provide strength from a community that's grieving. We're live here from Boone Pickens Stadium. Chelsea, back to you.
Well said, Sam. As we have mentioned, the Oklahoma State family is no stranger to tragedy. On January 27, 2001, 10 men affiliated with the OSU Cowboys basketball program died in a plane crash in a snow-covered Colorado field. On November 17, 2011, the Cowgirls basketball head coach, assistant coach, the pilot, and his wife died in a small plane crash in Arkansas. Both crashes brought changes to how the athletic department travels. And stay with Fox 25 for continuing coverage as we learn new developments in this deadly crash. We will bring you updates on the air and online at OKCFox.com. And be sure to download the Fox 25 mobile app to see the latest news on your cell phone or tablet. Hashtag Stillwater Strong and hashtag Oklahoma Strong have been trending across social media sites all day as the country stands with the Cowboys. Here's a look at some of those tributes and tweets.
Good evening, everyone. Not really feeling a whole lot like, well, we didn't have a really beautiful day today in terms of the cloud cover out there. I wish we had a little more sun. We will tomorrow, though. It did feel like fall, but it wasn't a beautiful fall day by any stretch of the imagination. But I think tomorrow will be a lot of sunshine out there. Temperatures will be a little warmer than this afternoon, but we are going to have to get through a chilly morning, maybe even a frosty morning for some of you. Temperatures outside right now in the mid-50s for a lot of you, but even a few places down in the 40s. Woodward at 48, Watonga at 49. Northwest Oklahoma, you will be the coolest overnight tonight, and that's why there's a frost advisory for those of you and up into the Panhandle. Not expecting widespread frost, but temperatures likely going to dip cold enough that there may be some patchy frost first thing tomorrow morning in northwestern Oklahoma. Temps will fall as clouds clear overnight tonight. Clouds will continue to clear from west to east. That'll allow temperatures to drop, and by the time you're waking up tomorrow morning, 40s across a lot of central Oklahoma, going 45 in OKC. 30s possible out west, especially where those clouds clear the quickest. Tomorrow will start for the morning in the 40s, so if you have Sunday plans, make sure to include a jacket first thing in the morning. But by tomorrow afternoon, plenty of sunshine out there, looking for a high in the upper 60s, be about 60 or so by the lunch hour. 68 in OKC, upper 60s across most of the state, maybe even a few places trying to push 70 by tomorrow afternoon. And like I said, I think we'll have a fair amount of sunshine by tomorrow afternoon as well. No real rain chances overnight and into Sunday, except for far eastern, southeastern Oklahoma. The vast majority of you going to stay rain-free, including the OKC Metro. Very fall-like weather continues for the upcoming week. Highs in the 60s, low 70s, morning lows in the 40s and 50s. Next weekend, though, is the next time to watch. We could get some rain and storms back into the forecast. We'll be watching Friday and Saturday closely. We'll be back here in a second. Sports is coming up next.
Hello, everybody. As you heard earlier in the newscast, homecoming at Oklahoma State between the Cowboys and Kansas took a back seat through the tragic event several hours before the game was even played. But the game was played as scheduled, with the mood and thoughts going beyond just football. They actually thought about postponing the game, but they decided to play. Everyone, including the team, took a moment of silence before things got underway. Backup quarterback J.W. Walsh had a good game for the Pokes. He ran for 3 touchdowns and made it look easy doing it. At Kansas, well, they had all kinds of issues with their special teams. Matthew Wyman couldn't handle this snap. OSU's Mike Tavius Jones was there for the block. He also scooped the ball up and scored the touchdown. As you would expect, the Cowboys got plenty of playing time for everybody, including the freshmen. Check out Jeff Carr scoring this 2-yard touchdown to put OSU up 28-zip. Mason Rudolph came into the game with 7 interceptions. They didn't have that problem today. He connects with James Washington, who made a nice one-handed catch for the score. Rudolph passed for 305 yards, completing 20 of 26 passes, with this one going to another freshman, Jalen McCleskey, for a big gain. And Rudolph came out of the game when the Cowboys got in the red zone, and Walsh came in. In addition to his 3 rushing TDs, Walsh also threw a pair of scores, this one to Chris Lacey. Cowboys won it 58-10, but with heavy hearts.
We're in football meetings. When I found out about it, the first thing you do is you call and find out where your family is. Football all of a sudden doesn't become very important. That's a personal opinion.
We recognize there was a great tragedy, and you play a football game. I mean, to be honest with you, it wouldn't have upset me if they would have said, we're not playing today.
Everybody is concerned, but it's just you're helpless. We feel helpless. And so all we can do now is offer support to the people that were tragically involved.
The kids went out and played a game. Come on now. So forgive me, but, you know, everything else, pretty minimal.
As for Oklahoma, we could call this week Mayfield Week, with OU hosting Texas Tech today. Sooner quarterback Baker Mayfield going against his former school, which would lead some to believe he would look to put up some big passing numbers. But Lincoln Riley, OU's offensive coordinator and former Tech assistant, had a different plan. Run the ball. And run the ball OU did today, with Joe Mixon ripping his way to this 11-yard TD run and a 7-0 lead. Now, the Sooner defense had 4 interceptions today, with Eric Stryker jumping and picking off Patrick Mahomes. Strike returning it to the 3-yard line, and from there, well, it was Samaje Perine doing the rest by running through a few tackles, and he seemed to say, just get off me, you can't stop me, as OU's running attack was as good as it's been all season long, with Perine and Mixon taking turns ripping up the Tech defense to the tune of 355 yards, with Mixon rushing for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. This run led to a TD pass from Mayfield to Mark Andrews as the Sooners passed for 212 yards. But today was all about the ground game for the Sooners. Perine had his best game of the season. This run, part of 201 yards on 23 carries that usually punish defenders attempting to tackle him. He also had 4 touchdowns as OU manhandled Tech 63-27, with the running game leading the way.
All along that we've got to keep making progress. I felt all along that we would, that it would, continue to mature and get better as time went, and that's happening to a degree, of course. We've got to keep making it happen, but guys really executed well, and of course, Samaje and Joe were great running the ball.
We're getting there. We still have a little ways to go, but we're progressing every week. I was just playing my game, came in with the game plan. We knew their weaknesses, and we hit them with it, and we just kept doing it.
Seth Russell and the Baylor Bears beat Iowa State 45-27, but the news not all good. Russell fractured a bone in his neck after taking this hit during today's game. He'll see a specialist Monday to determine how long he's going to be out. Russell leads the Football Bowl subdivision touchdowns with 29. Here's your sports. We'll take a final look at weather right after the break.
Yeah, Kyle has more weather.
Yeah, we're talking about a chilly night overnight tonight. Maybe even some frost for parts of Oklahoma. Probably going to be our coolest night for a lot of you since back in the spring. I think we could see a fair amount of 30s out west by the time we hit tomorrow morning. About mid 40s or so in the metro. Frost would only be likely out west and northwest. And even then, I think it'd be fairly patchy. Otherwise, chilly start to your Sunday. Not going to stay chilly all day long. Jackets first thing in the morning. I think we'll have a fair amount of sunshine by the time we head into the afternoon. So actually a pretty nice fall day to end the weekend tomorrow. High of about 68. Fall-like weather continues to start this week. Highs in the 60s, 60s and 70s, lows in the 40s and 50s. Rain kind of holds off until we head into next weekend. Halloween, a little nervous maybe about Halloween. It could look like we could be getting some rain out there. Maybe it'll be moving out by the time the trick-or-treaters roll into your neighborhood, but we'll obviously be keeping an eye on it and let everybody know what's going on as we head through the week.
Thanks so much, Kyle. It's been a rough Saturday. Our thoughts and prayers go out to OSU tonight. That's all for the Primetime News. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you tomorrow night at 9. Good night.